very good evening, Eswatini. You're watching Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole. First up, here's a look at tonight's headlines.
The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs has officially launched a Twitter page to help bridge the communication gap between the nation and the ministry. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says it is exploring possibilities of relaxing current requirements of accessing the 7 million eMalangeni Informal Traders Revolving Fund. The Regional Development Fund and Micro Projects will provide 1.5 million eMalangeni worth of funding assistance for 3 major development projects at Gametula constituency.
And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs has officially launched a social media Twitter page to help bridge the communication gap between the nation and the ministry. Minister Polisha Kantu says the use of this platform will assist to address matters of the law, especially during this time where people must adhere to traveling restrictions following the COVID-19 pandemic.
Following the implementation of government's e-government initiative in 2013, which is a program that promotes the use of digital platforms and information and communication technologies for service delivery and information exchange, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs has taken a step to promote the flow of information and level of interaction with the public.
The Eswatini Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, together with agencies under the ministry, are alive to the fact that the emergency regulations to counter the spread of COVID-19 have affected your interaction with the justice sector. It is for that reason that we have decided to adopt the use of digital media as a tool for communication and education in the administration of justice. We trust that this new platform will bridge the communication gap that is developed and help us to stay connected with you on justice matters. This new platform will help us convey accurate information to you in a timely manner. We will also use this space to improve access to basic legal information, keep you informed on general legal matters, and connect and collaborate with our stakeholders so that we leave no one behind.
Minister Shakantu also mentioned that using social media will allow communication between the nation and the ministry regardless of people's location, and that this platform will enhance ways of assisting the public with matters and advice relevant to that of the law, especially during this era of COVID-19 where we are all encouraged to minimize traveling and face-to-face interactions. The Twitter handle is at Ministry of Justice-Eswatini. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Nomalungelo Jele.
The Ministry of Agriculture will construct earth dams in at least 2 constituencies. This has been said by Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Bongani Masuku, who says the earth dams will benefit farmers in the low and dry Middelveld. Masuku says the ministry has been allocated 20 million eMalangeni for this project.
When delivering his budget speech, Minister of Finance Neil Rakenberg mentioned that 27% of the budget would go towards capital projects. This is the second highest figure in the budget, as workers' compensation takes the largest chunk of 30% of the budget. Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Bongani Masuku, says they have been allocated 20 million eMalangeni for the construction of earth dams. Masuku says the earth dams will be at Mkiweni and Mandlangempisi constituencies.
We believe that this money will go a long way to fixing our heavy plant equipment at land development and fueling it for the construction of these dams, and also buying material for the downstream development, that 1 to 5 hectare garden, vegetable garden. So this is for the benefit of the communities in those areas. We want to intensify the dams availability, the water availability in our communities, because with the challenges of climate change, we see the need to intensify the availability of water through earth dams for irrigation purposes. Okay, once a dam is constructed, the community, those with cattle, they send their cattle for water.
Masuku says the European Union will also construct an additional 16 earth dams in different communities in the country. These earth dams, in particular those from the EU, are expected to be constructed as of this month. During the budget speech, it was highlighted that agriculture contributed an additional 1% to the country's gross domestic product. These items are expected to further increase agriculture's contribution to the GDP, as locals in this sector are continuously encouraged to produce for commercial purposes. For Eswatini TV News, Mavimbela, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says it is consulting with stakeholders in a bid to explore possibilities of relaxing current requirements of accessing the 7 million eMalangeni Informal Traders Revolving Fund. This was said by the Director of Small and Medium Enterprises in the Ministry, Mluleki Dlamini, when giving details of how this fund can be best accessed by small business people.
3 years ago, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade established the Informal Traders Revolving Fund, meant to benefit non-informal traders, including vendors. The National Coordinator of the Coalition of Informal Economy Associations, Eswatini, Matokozas Konze, says the requirements for the fund make it difficult for their members to access it. Sikonze says some of the informal traders do not have permits from the Municipal Council, which is one of the requirements of the fund.
Siyabucela futhi siyakhongosela nalokuthi phela indlela ethwala imali lapha ema-ofisini.
He says government should revisit the requirements to ensure informal traders in rural communities also benefit. The Director of Small Medium Enterprises, Mluleki Dlamini, says they are working with stakeholders in ensuring the informal traders have better access to the fund. Since its inception, 102 informal traders have benefited from the fund. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Nelson Ndlangamandla with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The Regional Development Fund, RDF, in collaboration with Micro Projects, has announced that it will provide funding assistance for 3 major development projects at Gametula constituency. The 3 projects include fencing for a local primary school, construction of a soup kitchen, while the third funded venture is the rolling out of an electricity scheme.
The project is going to cost a total of 1.5 million eMalangeni. Under the project, 3 primary schools will be fenced, including Holy Family Primary School, Velebanfu Primary School and Pongolwane Primary School, and a soup kitchen will be built at Velebanfu High School. Chiselweni Regional Secretary Zwagele Dlamini urged the Metula constituency residents to not steal any of the material that will be used in the project.
Today, we're experiencing the launch of Regional Development Fund projects, as well as capacity building of the project beneficiaries. One is to allude to the fact that today's projects amount to a tune of 1.5,327,000. These projects include 3 fencing projects, 1 soup kitchen project, as well as 1 rural electrification project. We're hoping that these projects will commence this coming financial year. And one needs to mention that all processes are already at an advanced stage in terms of procurement and other works.
Education representative at the Regional Development Fund Technical Committee, Futhi Dlamini, expressed gratitude to the Regional Development Fund and micro projects for the schools benefiting on the program.
We just have this belief that, helping a school is like helping many chiefdoms, because one school is benefiting quite a number of chiefdoms. So it really is a good gesture, and we are praying that they continue giving us the support.
Member of Parliament of Metula constituency, Derek Masugu, also thanked the Regional Development Fund and micro projects for bringing development to his constituency. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Sifiso Mwalo with Muvashong at Metula.
Murder-accused Pastor Themba MASIMULA'S lawyer, Noncedo Ndlangamandla, has disputed evidence that the pastor's late wife, Funegile Mdluli, had a wound in the neck at the alleged accident scene. Ndlangamandla submitted to the court that if the corpse really had a wound, police would have taken a picture of it at the crime scene and presented the image as evidence before court. The Crown maintains that the wound was there, but a picture of it was not captured.
On Tuesday, evidence from the scene where the alleged accident, which left Funekile Mdluli burnt and dead, was examined. Themba Masimula's lawyer, Noncedo Ndlangamandla, asked Crown witness Patrick Mhlanga about a stab wound found in Funekile's neck 4 days after the alleged accident. Ndlangamandla submitted to the court that a picture of the wound was not taken at the scene. She also submitted that it was taken 4 days later at the mortuary. Scenes of crime police officer Mhlanga told the court that Funekile's body was hot and they could not handle it properly. He also told the court that they had to take it to the mortuary first so it could cool down, then re-examine it. Mhlanga further told the court that it was a mistake on his part not to take a picture of the wound on the ambulance that drove it to the mortuary. Ndlangamandla asked why the blood in the wound did not burn in the fire. Mhlanga told the court that they found the deceased's head facing down, which blocked flames from burning it. Mhlanga added that the human body was 90% water, and that might have contributed to the body not burning to ashes, in particular the head. Ndlangamandla also wanted to know about 2 knives found in the burnt car. She wanted to know if it was not strange to Mhlanga that other witnesses who got to the scene first did not see the knife that was said to be on the passenger seat. Ndlangamandla also asked Mhlanga why he never saw the second knife in the car since he did a thorough inspection of it. Mhlanga told the court that it was not strange to him that other witnesses did not see the knife. Mhlanga also told the court that the second knife was found by experts from the Republic of South Africa who specialize in extracting evidence from fire scenes. The court also heard testimony from Samson Mabogo Motsa, who towed MASIMULA'S car to the Mbabane police station. At the time of compiling this report, the court was to hear testimony from another witness. Representing the Crown in the matter is Lomvula Hlope, and the matter is before Judge Dikeme Dlamini. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, High Court.
Eswatini is highly likely to reach its target of reducing new HIV infections by the year 2022. National Emergency Response Council on HIV and AIDS Head of Communications, Sipesi Nkwanyana, says Eswatini is still on the right track on its goal to achieve this target.
Eswatini had set for itself a target that by the year 2022, there must not be new infections of HIV in Eswatini. With about 9 months left before we reach that target, we asked the NHA's communications officer, Spesihle Nkwanyana, if Eswatini will reach that target. Spesihle says the programs of ending AIDS by the year 2022 are coming out very well. She says Eswatini is still on the right track and has done exceptionally well and has been commended by the UN through UNAIDS in reaching the 95-95-95 target.
As the Kingdom of Eswatini, we think that we are on the right track of ending AIDS as per our vision by 2022. You will recall that in the year 2020, around July, the UNAIDS report of 2020 actually placed us at a top spot in terms of being the only country in the world to reach the UN targets of 95-95-95. And we reached the target 10 years earlier than the global target, which is 2030, which means we have done very well as a country. And we can certainly, appreciate all stakeholders who have worked tirelessly for us to actually attain, that celebration and victory of attaining the 95-95-95. Now, that means that out of the total 200,000 people who are living with HIV in Eswatini, they know their status. Now, 95% of those people who know their status are on ART or antiretroviral treatment, or ARVs in ordinary language. And then those people who are on ARVs, 95% of those are virally suppressed, because it means they're taking their medication very well, they're taking their medication regularly, and the medication is working. It means they're also virally suppressed. Now, reaching a viral suppression, state means that your body is strong enough, your immune system is strong enough to fight infection, which basically means it is strong enough to defend itself from any form of infection, including, leading to AIDS.
She says it is now everyone's duty to avoid new infections and always stay safe and condomize. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, Manzini.
The Scholarship Loan Recovery Consortium in Eswatini has appealed to companies to welcome members of the consortium's team who often visit companies to encourage those who still owe government scholarship loans to start making payments. The consortium's project manager, Khanya Makakula, says in the past year, the biggest hurdle faced by the Scholarship Loan Recovery Consortium was that some companies were not so understanding of their mission. Hence, in some instances, they were not afforded the platform to speak to owing employees during working hours.
The Study Loan Recovery Consortium has experienced a number of challenges in getting people to make repayment of their study loan. The consortium's project manager, Khanya Makakula, says the COVID-19 pandemic has also disrupted their programs, aiming at ensuring that repayments are made. Makakula says it was difficult for them to conduct some of their programs since they are required to make visitations, and also the fact that some people lost their jobs due to the pandemic.
Ingapani iya benefita from umlofundiswa scholarship, so nayo inayo insayo ukuthi imsite uhulumende kubutheni le scholarship khona kutofunza abanye abantwana labalandzelayo.
The Minister for Finance, Neil Reckenbeck, when tabling the budget speech in Parliament, stated that the Scholarship Recovery Project continues to be consistent, collecting around 4.5 million emalangeni monthly and an average of 200 new payees are added each month. The Minister added that a little over 150 million emalangeni has been collected since the beginning of the project. For Eswatini TV News, Mlangeni with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The Voluntary Medical Male Circumcision VMMC unit in the Ministry of Health urges males to go for circumcision even though strict adherence to COVID-19 regulations is advised at all times. VMMC Communications Officer Sabelo Mlambo says circumcision is important because it still plays an important role in minimizing the spread of HIV in the country's quest of being HIV-free.
The Voluntary Medical Male Circumcision's Communication Officer, Sabelo Mlambo, says circumcision is one way of ensuring that Eswatini is ahead in the fight against HIV and continues to achieve more than the United Nations 95-95-95 strategy. Eswatini has already reached this target, which means that 95% of people living with HIV know their HIV status, 95% of people who know their status are on treatment, and 95% of people on treatment are with suppressed viral loads.
See, we are cognizant of the fact that there's COVID-19 and a lot of people are more focused on COVID-19, but we shouldn't forget that HIV still matters at this period. We know that as a country we've achieved the 95, and as a VMMC program, we are in the first 95 where we encourage 95% of people to ensure that they know their status. And we're also saying that if they know their status, they should also remain negative if they've tested negative. And VMMC or circumcision plays a great deal in that aspect. And we know that as a program, whilst we're still looking at the COVID-19 situation, we don't encourage much of community-based mobilization, but we ensure that we use the social media platforms like Facebook, where we've got a page, and we encourage people to ensure that they always visit that page for information, and even if they want to.
He urges men who are over 30 years to go for voluntary medical male circumcision, stating that last year 75% of those who were circumcised were males between the age of 15 to 29 years. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Langamandla with Muzim Konda in Babane.
President of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, Hezekiah Mabuza, says the Federation is now using virtual meetings to conduct civic awareness exercises For local business people who may still not be fully conversant with the different funding and loan facilities that have been availed for the development of SMEs in the kingdom. Mabuza said this when outlining programs that the Federation has put in place to ensure that small business owners utilize all the funds that have been made available.
The Federation of Eswatini Business Communities Vice President Ezekiel Mabuza says even though these funds are meant to ensure that local businesses remain operational, they need to be capacitated on these funds in order for them to utilize the funds. Mabuza says after noting with concern that small micro-entrepreneurs cannot fully use these funds, they came up with workshops that are conducted virtually to encourage these entrepreneurs to use these funds.
Besesihlelile lokuthi sibe nama workshops la kusuka kubafundisa siba invite onke lama stakeholders.
He says that before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, they had planned to conduct workshops to try and encourage local entrepreneurs to utilize the different funds availed to them by government. Mabuza says due to the COVID-19 regulations, the Federation of Eswatini Business Community tried to engage the entrepreneurs with local financial institutions virtually on how best they can assist each other in tapping into these kind of opportunities. Government has founded the 45 million Malangeni revolving fund for SMEs, informal traders revolving fund, as well as a youth fund revolving fund, with the aim of ensuring that business people are able to sustain their businesses. For Eswatini TV News, Sondo Mlangeni with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The Eswatini National Youth Council will now provide funding assistance to young people from different constituencies so they can easily start their businesses. ENYC Communications Officer Sibonga Gonke Mamba says the council is targeting young people who are still new in business and those who lack expertise on how to run successful businesses.
The Eswatini National Youth Council, in its plans for the current financial year, aims at assisting the youth to start their businesses in constituencies to help them realize their dream. The Eswatini National Youth Council Communications Officer Sibonga Gonke Mamba says they want to help raise startup businesses this year.
Our biggest plan or target this year was to help 20 Dinkulet associations, which we established last financial year. But considering the budgetary constraints, we are now looking into sub-granting at least 5 to 10 Dinkulet associations in the country. Our wish is to help all young people who have a vision to start businesses and operate businesses in their communities. Another project that we are working on is a project we are working on with the World Bank, a project that is at an advanced stage, if I may say. This project is set to take off before the end of the year, the coming financial year, to help us refurbish youth centers in the country. We will be starting by refurbishing 8 of those youth centers, which we observed and we examined to find out the needs that young people have in the different communities and the type of assistance that they will need in those different youth centers. So we are adamant, we are confident that this project will start next financial year and we will see more young people getting trained on skills and starting businesses afterwards. We are currently forging partnerships with the private sector as well, engaging in discussions on a program that seeks to provide the youth with small grants to start businesses in their communities. This is set to start this financial year also. After we have finalized these discussions, this particular project is still at preliminary stages. We are hoping that it will finally take off this coming financial year.
She says they are currently mobilizing the private sector to be fully involved in youth issues as per the government's post-COVID recovery strategy of a private sector-led economy. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB. Some visuals sourced from the internet.
A very good evening once again. You're still watching Eswatini TV. Now we'll have a look at our sports news. Director of Sports in the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Untitled says Somhlolo National Stadium can only host international games towards the end of the year. This means for now, there is no football stadium that can host international matches in the kingdom after the African Football Mother Body CAF yesterday issued a statement ruling Mavuso Sports Center unfit to host international matches.
About 2 years ago, the national stadium, being Somhlolo National Stadium, was banned by the African Football Governing Board, CAF, to host any international games as it was not up to the international standard. In what has come as a shock to the Kingdom of Eswatini, the remaining stadium for the country to host the games, being Mavuso Sports Center, has also been banned by the CAF to host any international games.
If money abates itself, because phase 2.
Eswatini Ministry of Sports says the help of providing Somhlolo as a venue to host games again could be towards the end of this year. The director in the ministry, Untitled, says they are in consultation with the National Football Association to see a way forward to the matter.
Engagement in the Football Association.
However, such situations leaves the country with only one option, which is to host a game in the neighboring countries, as the Football Association President Adam Tsetva explains.
But I cannot guarantee whether the Guinea-Bissau game would be played, which is in the country, and that game is scheduled for end of March. And we are looking at a neighboring country as per the regulations. True. We are looking at South Africa or Mozambique. It will depend whether there is a stadium that would be ready to host us.
Sihlangu's next fixture is expected towards the end of this month when they host Guinea-Bissau on a venue yet to be confirmed. For Eswatini TV Sport, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, here's a relook at tonight's headlines.
The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs has officially launched a Twitter page to help bridge the communication gap between the nation and the ministry. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says it is exploring possibilities of relaxing current requirements of accessing the 7 million eMalangeni Informal Traders Revolving Fund. The Regional Development Fund and micro projects will provide 1.5 million eMalangeni worth of funding assistance for 3 major development projects at Gametula constituency.
And with that, Eswatini, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.